Show me the money.
I want you to say what you would mean it.
Show me the money.
Not show you. Show me the money.
Show me the money.
Better yell.
Show me the money! And welcome back to the Ruby Tuesday. My name's Ruben and this is my review for Netflix's original series called Snabba Cash. Have you read the original books this is based off, or have you watched the original trilogy that this is also based off of? Let me know which you prefer if you've seen both, but for now this is a non-spoiler review. The entrepreneurial jet set as well as the criminal world is more brutal, chaotic and ruthless than ever. When these two worlds collide, loyalty, friendships and business partners will be all tested in a never-ending quest for easy money. So there's 6 episodes. They're about 45 minutes a piece. There's definitely some sex in here. There's definitely some swearing, and there's violence when it gets going. It's pretty hardcore. There's one particular scene with a gun battle that reminded me a lot of Heat. If you've seen that, if you haven't, what are you doing? Go and watch Heat. Incredibly tense scene, very well filmed, and the filming for the most part is excellent. It's very close shots, so you feel like you're enjoying, I'll say enjoying the space at a voyeuristic style, really close to the action of what's going on. So you feel like you're almost a fly on the wall, but it's not quite that. It's over the shoulder close-ups, it's medium close-ups, it's all of that kind of really putting you in their personal space. And then mixing with shaky cam, which can be a bit annoying some of the time in this, it really places you in the moment. So you get to experience the height and the thrill of this storyline. And the pacing, for the most part, is pretty good. The story revolves around Leia, Salim, Tim and Ravi for the most part. There are a plethora of other side characters that don't really get so much of a storyline or a backstoryline. They're just kind of there to add to the players that we have on the board. So Leia she's this entrepreneurial businesswoman, and she will stop at nothing to get what she needs. We've got Ravi, who is her family, who is the drug lord kingpin, and you never really kind of like his character, but you start understanding him more as the episodes go along. We get a little bit of insight into what makes him tick. Then we get the second in command, who kind of forms a relationship along the way, named Salim. I really liked his storyline. You felt for his plight. You felt like he was in the middle of a rock and a hard place. But for me, the standout in this storyline was Tim. It's this young kid who ends up in this world. It just feels like no matter the choices he makes, he just kind of gets dragged into it. He's making bad decisions, and you're hoping that he'll make other decisions, but you just feel like every step of the way the world is against him. So even when he maybe tries to do something quite not so bad, he ends up in the wrong place, and you feel for his character as the story progresses. I think with most of these characters, as you start out in that first episode, you feel like, I don't like any of these guys. Why should I even keep watching? Like, I'm not rooting for any of these characters. As long as you give it that first episode. By the time we hit midway point of episode 2, I was totally invested with these characters. It's basically the tempo and the tone of these situations that our characters find themselves in. They will do nothing to get what they need, and what they need is cash. Everybody is trying to get one up on everybody else because basically they want all the money in the world, and reaching for those heights and stepping over people obviously brings about some chaoticness in your life. And when you add in guns and drugs and you add in family, that is a chaotic mess. Now, I know that the trilogy of films is very kind of held in high regard as in the storytelling. I haven't seen those originals. I know Joel Kinnaman, who's one of my favorite actors, especially for television. So I'm definitely going to go and check those out. I also know the books are really well respected. So I can imagine if you've seen the trilogy and you've read the books that this might be hard to take on, because you have a persona of what you think those characters should look like and what they should do. Coming from a perspective of I haven't seen those, all I can say is this is actually really good. I'm glad it's just did the 6 episodes. I think the pacing was perfect. The score is often just brilliant because it's understated, and when it needs to be there to just kind of maybe heighten the tension of a mood or a somber piece or something that's going to go wrong, it's just there. It just adds those kind of instrumental pieces, which I thought was excellent. The acting is also very good. You believe them in their emotional moments. You believe in the roles they're meant to be playing. Those characters, you feel for them in part. There's a lot of times those characters, like I said, are just making stupid decisions. And at the end I think, of episode 6, you feel like, okay, well, what's going to happen now? It doesn't leave you on a massive cliffhanger, but it does kind of start what could happen if they're going to do in season 2, if they're going to come back for that. Imagine they are, because there does seem to be 3 stories there to tell, at least in that trilogy. But for the most part, you can be content in the knowledge that there is a culmination, a fruition to a storyline, the major arc of this particular storyline. So you can breathe a sigh of relief and go, they're not going to keep me hanging on for 2 or 3 years, depending on what happens with COVID and TV. And, it could be ages before we see season 2 these days. So it's really nice to know that we actually just have a complete story, which I think is the name of the game here. Complete story, good tension, quite dark in places, so do be aware of that. There are moments that the tension really builds up and people are betraying each other. There's a standoff and you're sitting on the edge of your seat. It's built up that way. And it's kind of non-stop, even though you think, they're going to business meetings. There's always something frenetic going on, which I think is why the 45 minutes doesn't seem to strain itself, or doesn't seem to have too much padding in it, which is really great. So I'm going to give it a B+. I'm hoping that we get a second season, because I want to see more from these characters, although I kind of feel like I hope I don't, because the more we see of them just means they're going to get into more drama, and it's so dark, and you just want them to be okay, man. So it was decent. Let me know in the comments below what you thought about this. Thanks so much for tuning in, but most of all, until next time, remember, live long and Tuesday.